You know, digital smile design on its own is never enough. Not the WhatsApp, not the software, not AI either. They are all useful tools, but still just tools. And there's always a gap when you try to jump from the digital world back into a real human face. Because software doesn't see a person. It sees scans, photos, files. It doesn't see someone talking, smiling, moving their lips, changing expression every second. And that's where a lot of people get it wrong. They assume that the more advanced the digital system is, the more accurate the final result will be. But that's not how it works, not even close. You can have the best scanners, best printers, best software in the world. If the clinician themselves can translate all that into real aesthetic judgment on a real face in real time, the case starts to drift. And that's where things usually fall apart. Back and forth with the lab, small corrections with no real direction, and a patient who slowly starts to feel insecure. Because at some point, what they see is very simple. These teeth don't feel like me. And that's usually when the thought comes in. If this is the aesthetic direction, then what am I actually going to end up with? That's exactly why we don't treat provisionals as some temporary step you just pass through. For us, they're the main design tool. This is where the real shaping happens, the canvas on which we design all the input for the finals. So we already aim for ideal shape and say that at this stage, not good enough until later. Then we refine everything directly in the mouth using flowable composites. We adjust length, volume, angles, proportions, everything. And suddenly you are not just guessing anymore, you are actually seeing it live in the face, how the smile behaves, how it fits the person, how it moves when they talk. And honestly, no software can fully predict all that. In half an hour, you can even test 5 to 10 different versions, not on a screen, but in real life. And the goal shifts. It's no longer about what looks technically correct. It becomes what actually belongs to this person. And this is where things change for the clinicians too. Because once you're working directly in the mouth, theory stops being enough. You're seeing occlusion, lip dynamics, speech, expression, all at the same time. And you realize something important. The ideal smile is never purely digital. No, never. It's alive. Sometimes even small imperfections can make it more natural, more human, more real. So we don't design something stiff on a screen and then try to force it into reality. We build it in front of the mirror with the patient right there, and we evolve it together. In our workflow, we go through 4 confirmation stages before the final ceramics. At each stage, the patient is seeing shape, color, proportions, everything. And anything that feels off or doesn't sit right technically, clinically, we adjust immediately. Right there, no delays. And the truth is, clinicians are often even more detail obsessed than patients because we know exactly what these materials can do for you. So we don't just send it back to the lab and hope for the best, because the lab can't guess. If you don't give clear tooth by tooth clinical direction down to the millimeter, there's no precision outcome. At the end of the day, responsibility doesn't get outsourced. As the clinician, I myself own the result from start to finish. So if something isn't right, we don't just shift blame or wait around. We adjust directly in the mouth, add material, remove material, refine it in real time. And only when everything is exactly where it needs to be, then we send the lab a true copy of the provisionals with precise instructions, tooth by tooth, millimeter by millimeter. And that's how you remove randomness from the process. Because patients don't care about the tech stack. They don't care about AI or workflows or digital systems. They care about one thing, and only. Looking in the mirror and seeing a smile that actually feels like them. Natural, effortless, real, without endless back and forth that slowly eats away at trust in the process and even more in the clinician leading it. And that's why provisionals aren't a trial phase. They are the real blueprint.